dark skies, sad eyes keep coming after so many tries. I wanna realize what good I have inside, that I've forgotten through all the lies. Lord, show me the way, the path that you will pave, through all your love and everlasting grace, and give me the faith to transform my faith from a place of quiet sadness to a loving embrace, and open up my eyes to reach higher heights, to break through the bounds that scare me tied down. I feel the power of your love that you sent from above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from above. I feel the power of your love you sent from up above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. Reaching out my hand, I wanna join the sands. Won't you teach me how to be a better man, following your ways, to get above his haze, make way for tomorrow to be a better day. Give me the faith to transform my faith from a place of quiet sadness to a loving embrace, and open up my eyes to reach higher heights, to break through the bounds that's kept me tied down. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. I feel the power of your love that you sent from up above. That you sent to me from up above.
Hi, everybody. That's Grayson Nierenberg. Thank you, Grayson. I love that song. He wrote that. Isn't that awesome? You're going to hear more of him because he's bringing all of his music today. Well, not all. He's got lots, but some of his music. And we're really blessed because his mama, Anna, is facilitating social hour today. So, yay! Thank you so much, Anna. And if anybody wants to do that, there's a sign-up sheet on the back door, and I will guide you on this and make sure that the coffee machines are on. So if anybody would like to do that, just sign up and I'll be in touch with you. We have lots of interesting things happening, but before I say anything about that, I'd like to welcome everybody. Whether you're here in person, which is always a pleasure, or you're meeting us online either today or sometime in the future. We are really blessed to be exploring the month of June, this idea of embracing self-care. And all that fits in the theme of the year, living out loud. Some of you have the wonderful journal. I love to see people still bringing them. There's one, great. So assisting today is the lovely Susan Niedt, who comes from CSL Princeton. And she will bless us with a bit of a guided meditation. And the topic today is your divine appointments. You all have a divine appointment. I'm not sure if it's on your calendar or in your peripheral vision or in your heart, but my desire is to talk about this idea of divine appointment today in such a way that you get it. So that's not in the book because I don't always follow the topic, but we are in week 2. So we have the exploration of how can we tell that Spirit is tugging on us for that divine appointment? And how can we more quickly, more easily, more deeply surrender and therefore remember how precious each moment is and how precious life is, no matter what it is that we believe. So we're going to explore that. We invite you to check out our website. It has all our events. Most important thing I want to tell you is that we have an event today and next week, and then there's a little break, and then we finish up in July. We're doing a book discussion and book study of The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. So you can just stay for that today. If you haven't registered, it's fine. It's going to happen. And last week we dug really deep in the first part. So today is part 2, which is the next 3 chapters. I'm going to talk a little bit about that too today as well. So if you are on Facebook, Meetup, Twitter, Facebook has 2 pages. What else is there? YouTube, Instagram. We're all over. We're like social media sluts for God. And we just want you to know that we're here because the more people are aware of us, the more they will find their way if they're looking for a way to be part of spiritual community, an amazing teaching, and a lot of support. So seek us out. Let's do our Namaste practice. Namaste is the Sanskrit word for the divinity in me, less is the divinity in you. So be aware of the giving, receiving that's happening when you greet some of your Center for Spiritual Living friends. Namaste. Adding a little wave to it there. Yes. Drama. So us. Yes. Joy. All right, let's treat our word for affirmative prayer. I invite you to close your eyes. And just for that moment, notice that moment when you close your eyes and how you might have a desire to adjust your seat, to adjust your posture, which sometimes happens when we close our eyes and take a breath. It's like we're telling the entire universe, I'm ready. So right here, right now, we are ready for a deeper experience with our essential nature, which is our foreverness. That this human experience is temporary, but our spiritual experience is one that never begins and never ends. It is our experience of being spirit individualized, and it's why we're here, to awaken to it, to be more aware of it, to evolve from it, to have it be our guide, to support us, and to remind us who and what we really are at the essence and the center of our being, which is wholeness with a W. And so today we allow this remembrance to nourish us, to awaken something in us that we can actually live from this moment forward and infuse into our day-to-day experience. Because that's what this spiritual life is about, is to awaken to the spiritual truths and principles and bring them alive in the world. And it's not about perfection. It's not about right or wrong. It just is about being in the moment, being aware and being in service to the moment as Spirit serves the moment in us. And so for that remembrance, for this truth, we are so deeply, deeply grateful. For this time together, we are so grateful. For this spiritual community and this beautiful teaching, we are so grateful. And for life itself, we are so grateful. Never taking it for granted is ever our intention. And so it is. So it is. So to start with a poem. There's a beautiful creature living in a hole you have dug. So at night set fruit and grains and little pots of wine and milk besides your soft earthen mounds. And I often sing, but still, my dear, you do not come out. I have fallen in love with someone who hides within you. We should talk about this problem. Otherwise, I will never leave you alone. It's Hafez, 14th century Persian poet. I'm going to read it again. There's a beautiful creature living in the hole you have dug. So at night set fruits and grains and little pots of wine and milk besides your soft earthen mounds, and I often sing. But still, my dear, you do not come out. I have fallen in love with someone who hides inside you. We should talk about this problem. Otherwise, I will never leave you alone. Do you ever feel like something is like tugging at you, something is pulling and pushing a little bit, something is stirring, or we might have these questions in our mind about ourselves and our lives? There's this stirring happening and we don't know quite what it is. Sometimes it's something really loud, like a physical health issue, or a financial problem, or a relationship thing, or a career thing. It is that essential nature within us that is knocking at our proverbial door. It is that thing that is hiding. It is that thing that will never leave us alone. It is that thing that we call spirit within. In our teaching, we say we are celebrating the real capital R, self, capital S, by means of this body, by means of this life. And yet we forget, and we become more identified with the parts or the pieces or the brokenness or the problems or the challenges. And then we spiral and we forget that we are whole, perfect, and complete, exactly the way we are. Because the ego mind wants to find something wrong, wants to focus on the brokenness, wants to focus on the part of our identity that we believe is wrong, the something that's wrong with us. And so what happens is that when we're so focused on life and body and things and experiences and problems, we begin to experience more of that gap between the spirit of our nature and the mind, body, heart of our nature. And so in a way then, our spiritual self becomes neglected. You might ask yourself and ask your spirit, your true self, your essential self. Some of you may have never done this, but you can ask yourself, do you feel neglected? What do you think the answer is? Probably yes. Maybe not in this moment. Maybe not when you were meditating and treating this morning, or reading a fabulous book, or making love, I don't know, or eating your breakfast, or having your coffee. But through the day, it's that little tugging that happens, right? Which is just that invitation to deepen our connection with our essential nature. It already is. It doesn't have to be found. So I want to read, and I'm going to sit down because it's a little bit of a longer reading than I usually do. But I find this reading to be so important. So think of it as story time. It's from the Science of Mind magazine, and it's an article by Ernest Holmes. The thing that blows me away the most is that he wrote this more than 70 years ago. More than 70 years ago. And what we'll hear is that it still holds true. It was actually a talk, because way back then he did talks called, this thing called Life. It was on TV, and so it's a transcript from that talk, and I'm just reading a section of it. It's in this month's magazine. Today, remember, he wrote this in 1959. Today, as we think about the many problems that beset the world, we constantly search for the ways and means to effect a greater sense of security and to bring people a sense of peace and well-being. It's not really true today anymore, right? Yeah, isn't that powerful? That the founder of our teaching, the words that he spoke and wrote more than 70 years ago are more true today maybe than they ever were. They are for us. We are grateful for the knowledge that science has revealed, but are reminded all too often that in spite of the great advances in learning, most of us are at some time or another conscious of a lack of intangible something that could bring us an inner sense of sureness, an emotional poise, and harmony with other people. Perhaps in our seeking, we have looked too far beyond. One of the errors of our search for that which would satisfy our soul and make us whole has been that we looked outside of ourselves rather than within ourselves for the answers that we need. In each of us, if each of us truly knew ourselves as we really are, we could at once arrive at a place of dominion in our lives where never again would we be subject to the turmoils of the world. The two means by which we know ourselves are simple, but each must be followed. First, we come to know ourselves through the teachings of those who devoted their lives to the study of the human being. We have come to know the nature and function of our physical being through those who study the human body. This has given us a knowledge of what the modern physician calls the soma, a word from the Greek that means the physical body. With the advancement of the knowledge of the physical body, we have discovered that there's no point where the physical body can actually be separated from the mind. Even the individual cell, science tells us, is alive with intelligence. Each individual cell. Since we have learned that there's an intelligence in the body, this is the first way we come to understand ourselves. The second was through the psyche. Now we see where physicians arrived at the term psychosomatic. Join the Greek word soma with the Greek term psyche, meaning the mind. This has created an entirely new concept of ourselves. We are coming to know that we are whole persons only when we think of ourselves not just in terms of physical beings, but also in terms of mental beings. All knowledge teaches us that the most important thing about anything or anyone is an invisible factor that you and I call spirit. It would be easy for us to enshroud the spirit with an element of mystery that it becomes meaningless. But I believe we can and should arrive at a place where the spiritual self means something definite. We have come to the place where we see the relationship between mind and body. Science has verified this relationship and pointed to us the necessity of right thinking as well as right feeling. But there is a third factor needed, and that is a spiritual one. No longer do we need to say, I'm a physical person alone. In the light of modern knowledge, we say, I'm a spiritual person who uses a physical body. We can rightly say, I am the intelligence that directs the cells of this body I use. Let's say that together. I am the intelligence that directs the cells of this body I use. So the good news is that you and I already know that we are whole. It's just that we forget. Life comes along and something happens and our mind says, oh, I'm broken because this doesn't work, this didn't work, this happened, that happened, which is a typical way that the ego mind interprets experiences. Ernest Holmes says our human tendency is to think of life as negative. We experience life as a threat, and then we interpret it as a threat and say, see, I'm not whole, perfect, and complete. I have proof. I am ill, or I am experiencing lack, or I have a broken heart. And so the idea is for us to remember that there is the Trinity. There is the holistic view of life, body, mind, spirit. They don't live separately. It's like in the morning your body, in the afternoon your mind, heart, and in the evening your spirit. No, it's all happening at the same time. So we are experiencing it when we pay attention, when we give it attention, when we bring ourselves to the awareness that the presence of spirit already is in every moment, everyone, everywhere, all the time. And we own this idea that we forget regularly, and that's okay. Because our forgetfulness, when we are focused from the spiritual perspective, from the holistic perspective, brings us back to a place of remembrance. And so, our divine appointment with spirit, with our spirit, is whenever we experience disappointment. And disappointment can take many forms, right? I mean, anybody have felt disappointment lately? Anything particular? When did you feel disappointment? What happened? Was it something someone said or did?
What they didn't do. Yeah.
Or didn't do? Or didn't say? Right? Maybe disappointment in yourself? Something you didn't do or say?
Or something
or
you
did
did do.
Right?
Something you did.
If you think about it, it's like a regular affair, right? Quietly in the background sometimes. But we can tell how we feel. And when we say body, mind, spirit, Ernest Holmes didn't always talk about heart and emotion. But mind he represents mind and heart. So we want to think that way. So all those moments of disappointment, of forgetting, of struggling, of being stressed out, are invitations to make an appointment with our own spirit. Because something's out of balance. And there's an invitation for balance, and usually the thing that's most out of balance is our connection to spirit. We forget. Because the truth is we are pure consciousness. What I love about what we're discussing today with the book The Untethered Soul Part 2 is that the whole 3 chapters are about we are consciousness. We are consciousness first. Body is secondary. And the more we attend to what is first, the more we notice whether we're open or whether we're closed to the divine flow, that divine energy that's everywhere and everyone all the time. And so then there's this invitation to keep opening, keep opening, keep opening. And the great news from these few chapters is that it's very simple. And I'm not going to tell you now what that is. You can come to the workshop. But I think we already know that it's very simple when we give it time and energy and attention and practice. So what we're doing is we're arriving at this place of just being more aware, being more awake, being more attentive, and therefore feeling more alive. And when Hafez says, we should talk about this problem, otherwise I will never leave you alone, there will always be this feeling that is something that's not leaving us alone. And that is the aspect of us, the self within that is whole, W-H-O-L-E, already. It's speaking to us. It's teaching us. It's showing us. There are signposts. How do you feel when you forget that you are spirit? That spirit is within you. How do you feel? Anybody? Lost.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Incomplete.
Incomplete.
Alone.
Alone. Cranky. Depressed, sad, worried, anxious, right? And sometimes we don't even notice it because we're running so fast, we're trying to run away from that feeling. But most of the time, it just requires a moment. Just closing your eyes, feeling that feeling, releasing it, and returning to that knowing that you are the wholeness in expression. The body is such a great messenger. The heart, our emotional body, is such a great messenger. But we tend to not want to go there. We want to cover it up. We want to run away from it. You know, the buzzword now is busy. It's like there's a pride around it. It's like, no, have a divine appointment with yourself, with spirit. And I'll give some ideas about that. There's a wonderful book out that I haven't read in a while, but I still have it. It's Kelly McGonigal who writes a book called The Upside of Stress. It was such a great book for me. It was like, oh, I never really thought about the fact that there's an upside to stress. And what she says is stress is a good thing because stress is a messenger. It is telling us something. If we use it in an upside kind of way, we realize that it's actually an opportunity for growth and learning, an opportunity for more brain activity in a healthy way. And she talks about how the benefit of stress, when we look at it in an upside kind of way, is something that can give us more focus, more energy. I highly recommend that book. So the invitation for us then is to make that slight shift. Remember a few weeks ago, many of you, not all of you, where we used the kaleidoscopes, and we looked through the kaleidoscope and we realized that a tiny movement could create a whole different picture. That's what's asked of us in our divine appointment with Spirit. What's asked of us is to just take a moment to have that slight shift, to see it in a more wholesome, holistic way, to remember body, mind, spirit as one. And so what that invites us to do is to look at life with just a little more awe and wonder than fear and pain or heartache or worry. And so there's this wonderful saying by a man named Dr. Keltner, never heard of him, but he's a Mexican-born American professor of psychology, a founder of the Greater Good Science Center, Renew, and he hosts the podcast Science of Happiness. And he says this: how does awe transform us? By quieting the nagging, self-critical, overbearing, status-conscious voice of ourself, small s, or ego, and empowering us to collaborate, to open our minds to wonders, and to see the deep patterns of life. On Fridays, I unplug. No phone, no TV, no computer, although I do an art thing with a friend, so that's kind of like a little lie, but anyway, it's just really to turn all that off, because for me, it can be very distracting, and it sucks the energy and life out of me sometimes, and it's very addicting for me. So I need a day in the week where I can turn all that off. There's a saying in the Netherlands, where I'm from, that says Nixon. And Nixon means to do nothing. To just do nothing. I love sitting in my chair and do nothing. And just look out the window. Just sit and look out the window. The movement of the light, and the leaves on the trees, and the birds flying by, listening to all the different sounds. That is, for me, an incredibly powerful commitment that I've made for about a year now, I think. And I realized that I really need it. I need those times and spaces where I can do nothing. Because in those moments, it's like a reset. It's like a more clear download from Spirit and the reminders that I need in the moment. And they are very simple. I mean, have you noticed that when you sit quietly and maybe treat or meditate or maybe journal, that you arrive at these really simple things like just be, just love, trust, believe the truth, because we believe way too many lies, the places where we feel separate from our true nature. They're often so simple that they're easy to miss and therefore easy to dismiss. And the ego likes to argue with simple because it wants to be complicated and it wants to be right. And so when we make the time and take the time to just be, we can notice where we're out of balance. And coming back to balance can be in a split second. It doesn't have to take a life change. It can just be a momentary change. So it's more about being, and our being allows us to move into our becoming. Instead of the other way, thinking that we have to do more, be more, have more, get more, be more spiritual, all that stuff. No, we just have to be so that we can be with our essential nature, our essential wholeness. We all have these divine appointments that are calling us. And the good news is we all get them, we all have them, they're available to all of us. And the other news is that it's an infinite experience. It's not about arriving at a certain place. It's just knowing that it's part of the movement of life itself. And that in our divine appointment, we get to see more clearly. We get to be guided in a clearer, more powerful, more wholeness-based way. And it can be very, very sweet and very simple about being in the moment and being in awe and wonder of how amazing each of us really are. So let's have some music, and then we're going to have Susan blessing us with a little practice. And so, I'm going to do this.
There's another original I wrote called The Way It Works. Just about struggling but seeing the light. How am I? This morning I don't really know what's ahead for me. I lost my way among my thoughts. The path ahead is dark and dreary, but the sky is blue, just like me. Am I trapped or am I free? Have I gone mad inside my head? Here's where I'm meant to be. Found my way despite it all. I'm only getting started. It's about damn time that I stand tall. Gotta stand up and believe in yourself. That there's a plan out there for each of us, yeah. Gotta shout out to the trees and the sun. Oh, thank you for giving me love. Thank you for giving me love. Thank you for reaching down from above. I am I'm a gift of breath. I'm rising above with the gift of love. I'm not trapped if I believe I'm free. It's all so simple. Let me think of me. All the love there is right here within me. All the love there is right there within you. It's together within us. Gotta stand up and believe in yourself, that there's a plan out there for each of us, yeah. Gotta shout out through the trees and the sun, oh, thank you for giving me your love. Thank you for giving me your love. Thank you for reaching down from above, feeling the beauty, breathing the breath, sitting here thinking about life and death, remembering we are love, and the sun will always shine above. Remembering we are love, and not this song is never done.
That's so great.
Thank you, that was beautiful. Thank you, Reverend Frankie. I needed to hear those words.
Me too.
Well, when I think of self-care, and probably when some of you think of self-care, you think of the external, getting a massage, getting your yearly physical, sitting with your cup of tea. And my husband's self-care is sitting on the deck looking at the sunset with a beer. We all have our... Is that better? Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to do two practices. One is a little uplifting and external, and one is going to be within lifting and internal. And based on this idea, and Reverend Frankie covered this, when we are in our true nature, when we are actually remembering our truth, we are in that place of our divine appointment, all is well. And when we're not, as we shouted out those things that we were thinking, and I call that, and Joel Goldsmith calls this a lot in his books, bondage as opposed to freedom. So our thoughts of our bodies, of ourselves, if they are in the error of thinking of incompleteness or dis-ease or pain, that is bondage. That is holding yourself in bondage, in a way, because you're forgetting the truth. So what is the opposite of pain? Freedom. Freedom of movement. What is the opposite of anger? Well, love. So those thoughts are thoughts that we do often and we forget. And one of the things we forget in two practices, gratitude for what we are and recognizing what we already have instead of thinking we don't have enough or we aren't enough. And that's the first practice we're going to do. And this is audience participation. So I am counting on you. I've seen you when we did game day. You were great, so I know we're not getting up to dance today, but so when we think of gratitude, for our body or something within our body, we think of maybe a body part. So I'll start. My hands. Okay? So what do your hands do that you're grateful for? What do your hands do? Shout it out.
Touch.
Sculpt.
Right.
Draw.
Scratch. Yes. Definitely. Massage.
Play my guitar.
Yes.
Yeah. Niedt.
Niedt. Whoa, I forgot that one.
Ooh.
So now we say, I am grateful for my hands.
I am grateful for my hands.
I love my hands.
I love my hands.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I did go to a Billy Graham thing once many years ago. I did. So anyway, what's another part of your body that we should?
Eyes, vision.
Eyes, vision. Okay, what do we do with our eyes?
See.
See the sacredness of life.
See the sacredness of life.
Beauty, see beauty.
See beauty. What else can
Cry.
we see? See what?
Cry. Eyes.
You're expressing.
It's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
I know.
It's releasing, or sometimes we cry because we're happy. I thought she said crying.
Me
Okay?
too.
All right, so I am grateful for my eyes.
I am grateful for my
Grateful for my
eyes.
I love my eyes. Hallelujah. All right, one more body part. You get to pick it, or anything else. What part of our legs? Our legs. Oh, we can do this all day. We might want to do that all day, but our legs. All right, what do our legs do for us?
Take us places.
Walk, take us places,
Bicycle.
dance, bicycle. So much our legs do. I am grateful for my legs.
I am grateful for my legs.
I love my legs.
I love
Hallelujah. All right, let's get serious. Thank you. You guys are great. Clap for yourself.
That
So, now that we're kind of elevated, we can take that time now to breathe, because when you get excited, your breath opens right up. You are ready to breathe. And so I'm just going to read a few short words from H.P. Jeffries in relationship to the body and self-care. We must remember who we really are. Of course, our oneness with the truth. Of our relationship with God. We must be called back into giving constant attention to our source. The divine principle of truth works through us while we are simply abiding in it. Simply, as Reverend Frankie said. And walking in the consciousness of the presence. In the true consciousness, we find that the power which works with righteousness is the only and ever-present power. And Joel Goldsmith refers to the word righteousness as right useness. The right useness of our thoughts and words. So that's what our meditation is going to be right now. So I invite you to find that safe place, sitting in your car, closing your eyes if that's available to you. And just breathing in that life that we are. No judgment with whatever comes up in this meditation, because we are here together as one in the presence of love, as the presence of love. And as we breathe, we feel that essence of life fulfilling us. It is God's essence. It is our essence. It is the essence of unity. We are spiritual beings living in a spiritually created body that responds to our right useness of thoughts and words. And sometimes we forget. So as we sit and breathe, scan your body for a moment. Or experience your body. As you experience your body, where or what or how perhaps do you hold yourself or your body in bondage? Perhaps a thought of not pretty, not old, not young, not free, weak, too heavy. These subtle things that we think. So just pick one that you can relate to. Some place where there's an error of thinking around you. Whatever you come up with is perfect for you. And we're going to move into forgiveness. Because that moment of thought, that's where you are now. So you say to yourself, I am so sorry for this error of thought. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me for this error of thought. I am so sorry. I do love you. I love you, self. I love you, body. I love you because of the truth of who you are and what you are, one with God. And just be with that love for your body. That is true self-care. Remembering your truth. And as we sit in this release, I invite you to, as you breathe, see if you can release the thought or the feeling of your body in space right here and right now. Can you just be aware of the breath and the space in front of you and the space behind you, the space surrounding you, and let your awareness expand into the true essence of who you are, this spiritual being, released from that feeling of body. Be with that lightness, that incredible lightness of being. Just be with that breath, that lightness. Ah, freedom. That is our divine appointment. Recognizing the spiritual being that we are. Enjoy that free moment, that free breath. And just be with that for a moment. A deep silence of peace that comes from releasing all error of thought and stepping into our truth. This is our true essence. So think to yourself, I know that wherever I am in the midst of good. With the light of that understanding, the good moves through me and its nature is revealed. There is no bondage. There is no limitation. Every part of me moves in harmony. I am spirit. I feel this freedom. I am free. I am completely free. And as you enjoy this freedom, I invite you to remember that this is always what you are. And slowly bring yourself back, slowly, into that awareness of self, of physical self. In gratitude for this expression, this outpicturing called body, just bring yourself back in gratitude, knowing it is how you can express God on earth, in this time and this plane. Bring yourself back and wiggle and jiggle or shake and move, whatever you need to do to feel your body again in all of its aliveness. And say one more time, thank you, body, for all you can do.
Thank you, God, for all you can do.
And when you are ready, I invite you to open your eyes. So thank you for letting me have this experience with you today.
She brings such a rich experience. Thank you so much, Susan. So, just want to let you know that on Saturday, we're having a very unusual event. I don't know if it's ever happened, but it's on this beautiful flyer, New Thought Food and Fun Gathering. Lori and I will answer any questions. It's in Vassar Park in Hackettstown. And it's a good idea to register because there's going to be food and music and games. Twister!
Karaoke.
Karaoke, thank you. Bring a chair, a blanket, bring some games. So grab this flyer, take it with you. There's a QR code that will take you directly to the Breeze Link. It's only $20 and we're going to have a lot of fun. It's all the Unity, some of the Unity centers and centers for spiritual living in New Jersey. And today at 12:30 we have the book study and discussion on Tethered Soul. We're going to be in a circle here. No, actually, we're going to be in the multi-purpose room because social hour will be happening for a while, thanks to Anna. And then be sure to check out our website because in July we have another event on July 16th. Kat Perlman is doing another sound bath, which is fabulous. It's going to be right in here. The Brookside Wellness Fair is happening in September, on September 30th. If anybody wants to help out with that, we welcome volunteers. If you know anybody that'd like to be a vendor, there are forms over there. They explain what it means to be a vendor, and then there's a form to register, which you can also do on Breeze. There's a link there. And Susan is helping with that, so if you have any questions, she's like the vendor queen. And some of you might really like to sponsor this event. If you'd like to sponsor it, there's certain levels of sponsorship, and I thought I had that here, but just it's all over there. And when you are a certain sponsor, you get a spot to speak and or present your wares. So that might be something that somebody would like to do. And now we're going to bring back something we haven't done in a while. We're going to pass the basket for our giving. Some of you have already given in the basket over there. We're slowly transitioning. And the reason that we're doing that is I want us to think about supporting the center as a spiritual practice. It's not so much, you know, this basket is empty and you need to put something in there to be valued. It's not that at all. It's just really thinking about how this teaching and this center fills your heart, and how this is just one simple way that you can give back. I know that many of you do auto giving. I give via texting. So I won't put my phone in here, but what I will do is when the basket comes around, if you're an auto giver, is just hold it and just hold your hand over it and visualize your gift that you're giving online, and just hold your hand over it and bless what's in the basket. And we're not just blessing what's in the basket, we're really blessing the spiritual practice of giving, receiving, which is really the same thing. And our gratitude for this spiritual community and our support. There's a couple of envelopes in here in case you need one. So we're just going to pass it, and then you just bless the basket as it comes around. I'll let you pass it on to wherever, let it go around. And while that is happening, we're just going to take a pause, close our eyes, and just allow our gratitude for the spiritual community and the teaching and each other to be a blessing that you can take with you. And then once the basket comes back, Susan will bless us with closing treatments. And then we'll have some more music.
It's good going. Oh.
Yeah, you just keep it moving and then we can come back. Thank you so much. So thoughtful.
Thank you. It's just a beautiful example of the law of circulation in action. So let's find that quiet place again, closing our eyes. And I speak these words for each one here, for this wonderful, blessed Center for Spiritual Living, for beloved Reverend Frankie and all involved, knowing that there is only one life. And that life is God expressing itself right here and now as this wonderful center in everyone here. And God is omnipresent, so each one is feeling that depth of that presence within their body and surrounding them, of that light that is God expressed, that love that is ever present, and the hearts are open, and each one feels that place in their hearts that can be filled full of love, and therefore is, because God's presence is there right here and right now. And knowing that the words that were spoken today, the songs that were sung, the meditations that were experienced were all divinely expressed and are all, therefore, blessings for each one here. So each one leaves here today feeling fulfilled, feeling that peace that passeth understanding, knowing the truth, ready and raring to go, carrying this truth outward into the world, that each one's light can shine, and the brilliance can be felt in this universe and beyond. This is the gift of life that each one experiences. This is the gift of truth that each one knows. This is harmony in action. And this is the fulfillment called joy. So as we leave here today, let us leave here in joy. Let us leave here in smiles. Let us feel that uplift and carry it wherever we go. because this is our truth. So I'm grateful that I know this truth, that I feel this truth, and I can speak this truth for all. And we all say together, and so it is.